I often wonder about the nature of reality, about our relationship to the creative force that forged the particles of our stars and intertwined them with the molecules of our bodies. Who are we? And where are we actually sitting within the architecture of our universe? Are we alone? Or is the answer simply stranger than we can think? My name is Jeremy Corbell. I seek to weaponize your curiosity, and if you're ready to suspend your own prejudice, welcome to the world of extraordinary beliefs.
I'm just so grown tired of all of this already. My world will not be turned upside down. I just want to live my life. I mean, who would want to relive this? Either people are going to believe you or you don't. It's kind of put me on edge again. Dr. Roger Lear did confirm I was going to be patient number 17.
So you're going to get this thing out?
That's what he's telling me.
And what did you know of Dr. Lear before?
Absolutely nothing. I knew nothing about Dr. Lear until I was introduced.
Would you consider your life to have been completely normal up until the point where you've engaged these people interested in your story?
My life has been normal, but it did get thrown into a storm once I met these UFO folks. When Dr. Lear and his associates told me that this could be an implant, now it's all been brought back up to the surface. I'm wondering what I'm going to see in the shadows, or is there missing time? Is this scarier than hell?
So you've met Dr. Lear. Do you trust him?
You know, I don't trust anybody in today's world. I just want all this to end. I just want it removed and not have to worry about a piece of metal floating around in my body.
Good evening, everyone. You're in the right place at the right time. This is Coast to Coast AM. We're going to be joined by Dr. Roger Leir, one of the most important leaders in the search for physical evidence in the field of ufology. As listeners of this program know, he's been on the program many times. He and his surgical team have performed all kinds of surgeries on alleged alien abductees.
This mystery is kind of like a musical composition. If you're missing a note or two, you probably wouldn't be able to make sense of it all.
I was recently introduced to a surgeon who claims to remove implants, nanotechnology microchips embedded by aliens, non-humans monitoring our Earth. He talked about abductions, scalar wave transmissions, and a program to study or manipulate the human race. Armed with a patient, a scalpel, blacklights, and a stud finder, I was eager to verify the authenticity of this alleged off-world implant technology.
It's not broadcasting in this electromagnetic spectrum at all, but is using scalar wave technology. And then when we use our electromagnetic devices and pick up a radio wave, we're actually reading a harmonic.
It would be right about here. I feel something vaguely. Whether that's the foreign material or not, I don't know. We've got the x-ray with us right here. If we lay it down on his leg, you see this little spot here that shows through.
Yeah.
So it would be about here. So, you know, sometimes you talk yourself into something. You're not sure if you really feel it or no, but you have to know it when you're going to do it.
It's got to be right there.
Well, you have optics anyway, right? You have ultrasound optics?
Right here, yeah. So I'll show you when we do the ultrasound. So we're not going to guess at it. We're going to find it. So this is the ultrasound goo. So I'm going to go straight up and down on this.
So Dr. Leir, what are we experiencing right now?
We're using ultrasound to try and locate the exact position of the object. It's not easy because it's not only superficial, but it's also close to the bone. So we're using ultrasound to try and locate it.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
Are you sure, doctor? Somebody just didn't slip you a 50, just cut him.
We're going to draw the patient's blood, and then we put it in a centrifuge and spin it down and separate the cellular portion of the blood from the liquid. And then that cellular portion is then mixed with anticoagulant preservative, and that's what we actually use to put the object in. Then when we take out small pieces of the surrounding tissue, that goes into a pathology lab. The object undoubtedly is some form of metal, so that goes into a metallurgical process, one step at a time, where we look at it under an electron microscope and some other tests that we do to look for isotopes and non-terrestriality.
Non-terrestriality. It is alleged that many of these mysterious objects that Dr. Lear and his team have removed display bizarre characteristics, such as having nanotopography and metallic composition described by some labs as exotic meteorite material, not having been forged in the furnace of our own sun.
I don't think that you've been abducted recently.
No.
Based on this.
As a surgeon, I know it's not your position to speculate on the origin of this object, but obviously you know the story going around that maybe there's a correlation between the abduction phenomena and these types of objects.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you want to quote me on this, but I just don't believe it's alien. I believe it's some earthly particle that's from some carpentry thing. They whacked something, a little piece of metal flew off and stuck it, and they don't remember it because it was so tiny. And then those people, enough people have them. People with abductive experiences also may have the metal, so I don't know. He's doing the analysis on the metal, so I'm not. And that's where the things come in. I would reanalyze the metal, have another group analyze it and look at it if it was me doing it.
A foreign object was about to be removed from a man carrying this burden for over a decade. Nefarious implant by an extraterrestrial big brother or a piece of childhood shrapnel. I personally wanted to see what this foreign object was made of.
This piece of metal's in my leg, or whatever it is, and it's been there for God knows how long. So it'd be nice to yank it out, do the experiments on it, and see what it is. Like I said, I have some people in my life that just shake their heads. My girlfriend, my mom, a few other people are just saying, don't let them do it. It's a small incision. It's not like they're going into my lung. A few stitches, and it's a pretty simple procedure.
Small incision, big mystery.
Yes.
Were you surprised when they used the device for frequency, that what was in your leg seemed to be emitting
That's
a
pretty
frequency?
amazing. If that test is accurate, this is really an implant. Just by fluke we found it. One thing led to another, and here we are today.
I mean, it sounds like you've had some powerful experiences that have at least led you to entertaining the idea that, there are non-humans, they are visiting the planet, and that, they are engaging humanity.
The memories were as a child. I thought I had a couple abductions. Parents put locks high on the door when I was a young guy, so I went drown in a pool. And they'd find me outside and the locks were still locked. I remember waking up and being elevated on my back straight up and feeling my nightgown being pulled back. My thoughts were, man, I'm really going up quick, and you can feel the clothes on your body being pulled back. So that was like the last time. It just felt like they were up to no good.
Have you ever seen a UFO?
No,
You never have.
not that I remember. There's no insanity in my family. I'm healthy as an ox, and this is somehow happened.
That's my little incision. We spread it a little bit. Now, the question is it next to the skin or is it next to the fascia? I think it's close to both.
Probably. Well, I think it said it was subcutaneous, so it's probably between the skin and the fascia.
We're going to use a little metal thing, see if I feel a click. No. Sometimes you can find them just by a little click. No.
Usually, what was that?
As I watched hopeful believers slice an opening into the flesh suit of a living man, I began to reflect on exactly what was going on. An alleged abductee, patient number 17, standing at over 6 foot 9 inches tall, was a human monolith, a force of nature, and like the old cowboys of past, an absolutely honest man. One of those people, soft-spoken, stoic, who was genuinely looking for answers to questions that have plagued him since childhood. And all I could think was, what the fuck is about to be pulled out of this man's leg?
Can you see it? Little spot there?
Oh yeah, there it
Little
is.
black spot?
Yeah, right there.
That is it. No, it's a little bigger than that, see? So we'll get it with some of the surrounding tissue around it.
No wonder it was so invisible on ultrasound.
It wasn't very big. Wow. So that is the entire thing right there. I'll put it right here. Right there. We'll shine the light around it a little better. Here, I'll show it to you. That's the whole thing.
Well,
Let's see, we have a sponge. We'll put the soft tissue in that, and then this will go in the serum. So, do you want to get a close up of this? Don't put it in anything till I dissect off the tissue. I leave a little piece of soft tissue on there so that when we use things like electron microscope, which we'll do at SEAL Labs, that soft tissue will show up under the electron microscope.
So Roger, success today.
Well, yeah, I'm very happy with the results that we got today. You know, the object is, it appeared, it went through all the testing, we got it out, and now we're going to, look at it and see what the, both the biological and the metallurgical components are that it's made. And that will determine, whether we have something that's out of the rose garden or something that's non-terrestrial.
Do not underestimate the cosmopolitics of an alleged alien implant removal surgery. Word had spread, and many faithful arrived with camcorders and flooded the waiting room with anticipation. Patient number 17 quietly made his exit through the back door, avoiding the crowd that had formed to glimpse that which is yet to be explained.
Just as I'm learning more about music and harmonics, I'm also learning more about the nature of the cosmos and reality.
When traversing uncharted territories and exploring alleged and advanced nano-cybernetic transmitters believed to have been embedded into a human host to monitor unknown rhythms, fields, and energies to transmit scalar wave frequencies to beings with hidden intentions who either traverse space-time or dimensionally shift into our reality, there are key moments in your investigation that require a monumental leap of faith. Or, of course, you can just go to your local scanning electron microscopy lab to actually see what it is that you have.
My name is Steve Colburn. I'm a material scientist. I work on carbon nanotubes at my primary job, and I'm Roger's head scientist in the ANS research organization that he founded.
Must be stuck someplace. There it is.
They made those guys too. It's all one world.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
This is the official testing of a foreign body that was removed from you. Are you curious about it at all?
Absolutely.
What do you?
Mystery.
It is a mystery. Do you think we'll solve it today?
Yes, we will.
Yeah, thousands of them. Is it shining on the inside, Steve?
Yeah, we see metal. Cool. Definitely metal. All right. Let's load them back up.
Do you want to remount it so that we got it sitting up on end?
Test it with the Gauss meter.
That would be a good idea.
Hold on, Steve. Gauss meter test.
Finger off, just hold it straight up. Okay. You're getting a little bit.
A little bit. Not much.
Check it.
With the power to look at the object at almost the atomic level, an alien landscape emerged, similar to topographical surveys of our star's celestial satellites orbiting our solar center. Structures and shapes began to take form within my mind. Spectral analysis seeking explanation of composition Measurements of features which looked like mountains and valleys were taken with great precision. I was hopeful that today patient number 17 would be given some answers.
The nerve would also probably wither up under the electron bombardment.
So Roger, is there anything that surprised you so far from today's analysis?
Yes, that the visualization of something that may be a carbon nanotube at a low magnification is kind of surprising.
And what would prove that it's a carbon nanotube?
Well, when we look at the chemical components, which is the peaks on the screen, we can see that on that particular one, it's all carbon. Then we'll have to go on with other testing, what's called Raman spectroscopy, and a couple of other tests to determine actually if it is a carbon nanotube.
Will you be able to do that today? Or?
No.
You get your first look at what they pulled out of you. What are your thoughts?
It's just interesting. Like I said, it still could be just a rock from childhood, or it could be a meteorite piece from space. You just never know until breakdown.
What you're saying is, I'm just trying to figure out what this is.
The mechanics of this object. So I consider myself a Christian, and if this thing's Mr. Space Alien deal, it kind of blows everything I've believed in for the last 50 years out of the water. I mean, technically. I mean, God doesn't go around implanting people, and there's, it's just kind of this Christianity and the question of, is it true or not? And I hope, in a way, this is just a rock or something from the past, from my beliefs, but it is. You kind of start rethinking.
Would it shake the foundations of your faith if this was something from another intelligent species?
It could. Definitely.
Did you feel that we saw something anomalous today?
Yeah, it was definitely anomalous, and it was very similar to several other objects that we've seen that were removed from Roger's patients. The nerve cells grow into the membrane, and this membrane forms an interface between the nervous system and the electronics of the device.
What can you say conclusively from today?
That it's probably a sophisticated nanotechnological device rather than just a fragment of something. These devices seem to be deliberately inserted into people. There's no portal of entry, and there's never any inflammatory response to the objects, which is highly unusual. It's unheard of. So when we get the path report back, that'll tell a tale as well as to whether it's one of these anomalous objects we've seen before. My working hypothesis is that these are nanotechnological devices from off-planet that have been perfected by some society that has had this technology for a very long time. I send half the object in for ICP-MS analysis, and that will give us some isotopic ratios and tell us whether the material is from off-planet.
I mean, everybody wants to squeeze every last bit of information out, every piece of evidence they can possibly get to try to solve the puzzle of what's going on.
While the scientific team was busy analyzing the composition, structures, and isotopic ratios of the surgically removed mystery object, I decided to meet up with patient number 17 and find out more about his abductive experiences and his post-operation state of mind.
You think that this is sinister, like when you saw the eyes of those three oval head alien dudes that you tackled or tried to tackle in Las Vegas. You said that you could tell it was sinister. You could tell it was...
They're not there to take you out for pizza, that's for sure. I mean, they're there to manipulate you somehow. Not to save you or give you a cure for cancer. They have their own agendas. And if it didn't, it would be disclosure already. I mean, it has to be something behind this to keep it quiet.
Where did you come to that understanding?
Of course, their appearances are disturbing, But it's a sense, like when you meet somebody that's nice and friendly, you go, hey, it's a nice person. And with these three people's things in my room, you just knew they're in your house without your permission. You know they're about to maybe take you somewhere and do whatever they want with you. I mean, how can that be a good thing? There's no way they rang the doorbell and said, hey, we're from outer space, want to have a beer? I mean, they're gangsters, you know, alien gangsters. They're doing what they want. God knows what they're doing to people. At least I was caught and released.
What would you say to an alien that was trying to abduct you if you could?
I don't know if I'd say anything rather than just treat them to any burglar that was trying to break into my house and mess with my family, is shoot them dead and I'll take them down. I mean, I think they're criminals. They're doing what they want, and a lot of cruel things to people, and be nice if a little payback, because this is unreasonable. How many abductees do you really need? How many people's lives do you have to ruin? I mean, you know, man up, show your face or take off. And for them to, you know, always take you on a deserted road or late at night, they're obviously cowards on top of it. So they're criminals, they're cowards. They're that advanced, they should be able to just talk to us and explain things out and, you know, and comfort us rather than like mean little kids with a magnifying glass frying ants on a sunny day. Cowards. So leave me alone, and I hope I can take one of you out when it's possible.
You fought back against these alien gangsters. I mean, you did that day.
Yep. I was ready to duke it out with them. For some reason, they just didn't want to deal with it, but I was able to break that trance. It's really a weird feeling. You can't move. It's like there's no way this is happening to me tonight. And I was able to get up and go for it. Yeah, that's pretty amazing, to tell you the truth, because most people can't. So I was able to break. So they have weaknesses that you can break through, apparently.
Are you saying to me that you feel strongly that the experiences you had were real?
Well, the experiences of childhood are real memories. And what happened in Vegas with the 2 abductions were real. But just fine details aren't there. And like I said in earlier conversations, maybe they are doing mental blocks on people because they know how frightening it is for the human race to deal with all this, but they still feel like we do with test animals. They can do what they want with us.
Do you feel that you were given a mental block from the experiences that you had?
Absolutely. There's no other way. They could have made me forget about it. So however that's done, I'm glad that's possible, because just knowing they were there in my room from childhood, sometimes in young adult, and now with this possible implant, you kind of feel violated. I mean, these people are like kidnapping you. You can believe what you want, but unless you get other people to believe too, it just seems like a fairy tale. I mean, it means nothing. You know, but if you tell people the story, they look at you like you're crazy, or you're a fool, or your religious friends think you're going to the dark side because if there's aliens, there's no God, which means you're an atheist or something. So everybody has their opinion on this. You know, with all this going on, I'm just like a normal guy with extraordinary experiences that can't really be explained. You know you've gone through them, but unless you meet other abductees or somebody in the line of work, nobody believes you. Nobody really cares. And they really just want to put their fingers in their ears and walk away. They're just afraid of the truth, maybe. I mean, when it happens to them, or they know somebody personally that this stuff happens to, maybe they'll open their eyes. Everybody thought that the world was flat at one time. Those folks don't want it to be true, or they're afraid of the truth. They just weren't nightmares, they were real.
I joined patient number 17 for his post-operative evaluation. We were to confirm with X-ray that the entire foreign object was successfully removed and that the patient was healing properly, as Dr. Lear explained that the surgery was a success I started to get the sense that patient number 17 was slightly agitated.
I guess you guys haven't analyzed the material yet?
Well, not any more than we did at CO Labs.
Mm-hmm.
Not every lab does every test.
But when I was talking to Richard, he was saying it's just a sliver of steel with cotton bits on it from the Band-Aid when they pull it out.
No. We can see it's completely devoid of metal. Post-operatively, let's see, about 2 weeks. And evidently we have definitively removed the object that was there before. There was no pieces left of the object, so it was removed what we call in toto, which means the whole thing was excised.
You ever find a case where you put multiples on a person?
We did 2 surgeries on the same day, and that gentleman had one in the back of his hand that was also a little rod, cantaloupe seed-shaped object, and then we had a whole string of them that were about the same that looked like yours.
So I could still be tagged somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just the memories I have already as a child, and even Las Vegas, a couple visits was enough for me. I mean, it was just frightening to see these images. I mean, it's just frightening. I mean, you just know it's not of this world.
Most people want to remember.
You're kind of over it sounds like.
I just want to get back to my life of enjoying my family and riding my dirt bikes and move on. We'll get the data here shortly and see what it's made out of, and should be game over. We'll know one way or another what the deal was in my leg.
Good evening, everyone. This is Coast to Coast AM. We have sad news to report tonight. Prominent UFO researcher Dr. Roger Leir has passed away due to a heart attack. Dr. Leir was a pioneer in the investigation for physical evidence of extraterrestrial contact. Roger will be missed.
The isotopic ratios of most of these samples have been highly different from the isotopic ratios of earthly elements. The materials come from not only a different place in the solar system, but a different part of our galaxy entirely. This is a juvenile of that big one right there. They apparently turn dark when they get larger. And this is cryptocorn plant from the Amazon and Amazon sword plant, history, and these fish are very aggressive. They'll eat each other given half the chance, so it's good to provide them places to hide from each other. After we went to Steel Labs, Dr. Leir was in pretty good health at that point, and he had an apparent heart attack. They found him near death, and he died soon after, and that was about 6 weeks ago now. It's a great loss to the UFO community, and he was a good friend. And he was a good friend and a great research associate. Well, Dr. Lear worked hard in pursuit of the truth, and he was striving to bring science to the UFO community and bring the scientific method to investigate UFO sightings, and he was particularly interested in hard evidence of UFO sightings and abductions, and that's why he got into the implant field, because that's one of the only ways we can get hard evidence that people have been visited by aliens, by these devices left behind in their bodies.
Do you still have patient number 17 sample?
Yes. I think most people are like the fish. Most of the masses of humanity like the fish, and they don't really know or care what's outside their immediate sphere of influence. And we need to be better than that as a race.
What are we looking to learn about patient number 17?
The isotopic analysis will tell us if the material is from off the planet, so that's very important.
Well, if this thing is emitting frequency, there's got to be a way to capture that data somehow.
The ultimate goal is to hack the alien internet. We have reason to believe there's a complex web of communication between aliens and some supercomputer someplace, and abductees are also plugged into this system. It's the biggest story of the 20th and 21st centuries. It's the biggest story never told.
It's the waiting that will grind you down. It's the slow wear and tear of the mental highway. If it's not true, you're crazy. If it is true, the implications are even worse. How do we navigate an experience that is real to us, but will never be real to others? Do we push it so far down that we can discount our own perception? It's one thing to ask a question. It's another to receive the answer. Is knowledge power, or can knowledge be fundamentally destructive?
We've been waiting a long time to find the broad spectrum elemental analysis and isotopic analysis that you're going to be able to read for us, because we want to know, as patient 17 will often say, is this a piece of Tonka truck or just a rock from the ground? What was it that was taken out of his leg? And this should be definitive in some way of what it was that was taken out, if it's anomalous or not.
We've got quite a few elements here. Let's see, we have boron, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, titanium, chromium, manganese, iron. Iron's a major component. Cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc, gallium, germanium. And the gallium and the germanium are indicative of the presence of meteoric iron. We've got arsenic, strontium, yttrium, it's a rare earth element. Zirconium, niobium, molybdenum. Molybdenum's kind of high. That's the highest I've seen it in one of these objects, actually, 405 ppm. We have some palladium, which is also indicative of meteoric iron. There's quite a few precious metals like palladium, platinum, rhodium, and meteoric iron. Lanthanum, that's also a rare earth element. Barium, hafnium, tantalum, tungsten, rhenium, thallium, lead, and bismuth.
As you look at this, Steve, does it look like it's a cake mix of, they could have used this chemistry to build something here on the planet? I mean, could be a piece of steel fragment from something from my past?
Yeah, it looked like it would be very strong with iron mixed with all these different elements. 1, 2, 3. We had 53 elements in object number 15. So
seems kind of complex just to be a man-made thing. I mean, do chemists actually put this stuff together to make steel objects here?
Yeah, this is a lot of elements. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have a total of 36 elements here, so that is quite complex. Most industrial alloys don't have nearly that many elements in them. So I'd say this was an iron alloy with a significant amount of meteoric iron in it. Based on this, perhaps 25% meteoric iron, and then with that same biological hard part type coating on the outside.
You say meteorite, is it like carbon, like our whole universe is created with, or I mean, is that a common element? Meteorite?
Meteoric iron, like they're the cores of planets that exploded.
I think I'm still trying to figure out, you're the scientist, but what made that up that could have been in my everyday life instead of the implant? I mean, could have been a piece of a nail, just an ordinary rock embedded in my shin from the past?
Well, one thing that would be good to do when we get more funding is to just take a regular nail and analyze it at the same lab and see what comes up. But I can almost guarantee you there'll only be about 4 or 5 elements in it, and it will not have a complex structure like this. So I don't think there's any way you could have gotten that from your ordinary life. No,
from childhood forward.
Very unlikely.
Well, there was never an entry wound, and I have no recollection of an injury in that area.
So you have no idea how long the object had been there?
Could have been from childhood, but it started giving me problems in 2005. Now you mention it, I'm trying to remember what the pain was, because it felt like a railroad spike being driven through my leg. But I'm trying to remember the point of entry. It could have been in the line of the pain. I've been riding my motorcycles on mountain roads, and it would start kicking into pain. And it took all my strength to stop the motorcycle and lay on the ground without crashing with the pain. So, and then it just stopped.
Do you think the pain was to punish you somehow or to control you? Or?
Well, they all know I've been a bad boy, but I have no explanation.
The electron micrographs of the object look very similar to the corresponding pictures of object number 15, which that turned out to be a sophisticated nanotechnological device.
You're saying, Steve, that this is a highly complex alloy. 36 different elements, some of which are rare earth elements.
Yeah, it's got, for example, 410 ppm of yttrium. I mean, I know for a fact that no nail on the market's going to have that.
There's all these different metals in it. They're highly complex. They were fabricated. They were put together. It would be highly expensive and probably difficult to make a single object out of all of these elements.
Yeah.
Some of which are very rare. Some of which are even toxic in small amounts. I mean, this is a very strange object in patient 17's leg that was taken out.
Yeah, no doubt, yeah.
You've talked to us about the elemental analysis, but we also specifically got isotopic analysis.
Every element on Earth, or most elements on Earth, have more than one isotope. Isotopes being forms of the element with different atomic weights and having different numbers of neutrons in the nucleus. The number of protons in the nucleus defines what the element is, and the number of neutrons in the nucleus defines its exact atomic weight. So in elements with more than one of these isotopes, there's a certain pattern, certain ratio of the isotopes one to another, and that ratio is characteristic for elements that originate on Earth. And
what do you see in the isotopes? Are they from here or are they not?
they were similar to earthly isotopic ratios, but off by enough where I would tend to conclude it was from off planet.
So you're saying that within these results for the isotopic percentages, usually 1 to 2% could be a miscalculation. How many percentages are we off by?
Zinc 64, we're off by about 2.5%, so that definitely puts it into the for sure off planet range. And the standard deviation of that measurement was only 1.25%, so there's not much variation or much room for error there.
So zinc 64 and zinc 66 have isotopic ratios that are definitively not from Earth.
Based on these results, I would say yes.
It's a federal crime to change them. It's not like the labs are messing around with the data.
Yeah.
And they're looking at something that is not from here.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize this is not backdoor research or anything. As you say, it's a federal crime to alter these results since we did pay for them.
They're actually truly mystery metals. They're not forged on this planet. Not how do they know what it is?
You could forge it on this planet, but the isotopic results are pretty indicative of being from off planet. So.
Well, our planet's a meteorite. It's a chunk off of something, and then a meteorite we think is this little ball thing floating through space, but
to get
we're
that type of
actually
material
a meteorite.
from the Earth, you'd have to drill into the core.
Or it got evacuated from the core through a volcano, right? It could be laying around. They might.
Well, there's parts of other planetary cores out there on the asteroid belt that they're flying around. So, well, in my opinion, it was a nanotechnological device that was probably hooked into your nervous system. That's what caused the pain. Made of partly meteoric iron and having a lot of odd elements in it.
Yes, I'm still in a little denial because I wasn't expecting finding material in this object that is from out of this world. Not at all.
Have you seen my report on object number 15? It's similar to your device, and I'll stick my neck out a little bit saying that this is probably a device.
Is it the smoking gun, as it says in the magazine article?
I would say so. I mean, we would need 100 tests like this to convince the entire scientific community, but based on the fact that we're just trying to do this on what to them would be a shoestring budget, I think we've got some really good results here, and I think that this is a strong indication that the object is from off planet and a sophisticated device, and we need to follow up with some more research.
I don't have any answers. I'm still a doubting Thomas on what this could possibly be, but I'm not jumping for joy because it just affirms that this whole story and this adventure is true, and it's just been a nightmare since childhood.
You don't want it to be true.
Not really. It's a pain, and you can't talk to anybody about it except for other UFO people, and you just can't even bring it up anywhere. The media has a taboo. It's like politics. Once people have their mind set a certain way, there's no convincing them. I mean,
how does this make you feel? Are you surprised by these results?
Yes, because I honestly thought it was something from the past. We don't have control over any of this. We're just being herded like cattle and tagged, and who knows what they're doing.
It does require a period of adjustment, and it's a door that you can never close again.
What happens to the ego when it confronts a truth that is poised to transform our belief systems? And is truth itself a matter of interpretation?
All right, you take care, Steve.
You too.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you too. We're members of an exclusive club.
You were patient number 15?
Yeah.
You never told me that.
I didn't?
No.
Dr. Lear didn't want me to tell very many people that. I just was supposed to be the scientist in his organization, but I went through the whole process. I lost my marriage over this whole thing, or at least that was a major factor. Yeah, it's been a big deal. I mean, I never would even entertain a lot of this stuff. I didn't have physical evidence that there's something going on. I've chosen to embrace it, in part to get better treatment on the abductions, and there's no sense fighting them. I mean, they're far too powerful for that. All you have to do is turn the mental control up to level 7 from level 3, and they can get you to do whatever they want.
Like Schrodinger's famous thought experiment, I simply wanted to know if the cat in the box was dead or alive. Is this object anomalous or not? The facts of the analysis do not lie, but the interpretation seems to be deeply subjective. The hard scientific line presupposed by the data is easily bent by the worldview developed by those who seek answers. Where was the doc when you needed him? Where was the man who started it all? Was he playing his symphony in the sky, having found peace from his questions in the realms of the knowing, while the mysteries that keep us mortals in a state of insomniatic disturbance roll on?
I just want to thank him for his understanding and his help and acceptance of this whole thing. And you know, it's too bad he had to pass before we knew 100% what the item was in my leg. It's a big thank you, actually. Thanks.
The next move was to get interpretation of the data from a scientist known as Nanoman, a military-funded nanophysicist who might be able to shine light on our seemingly anomalous analysis. Maybe he could tell me if there was anything to this data.
This came out of a man's leg. There's been a lot of kind of assumptions about it, but now we have the hard physical evidence, the elemental analysis. I just wanted you as a nanophysicist to basically look at it and...
Yes.
Is this a Tonka truck?
No. This sample is not a Tonka truck. It is not a rock or a pebble from the gravel. Maybe he picked up a piece of something in his leg and it's been bothering him. He had a strange experience and decided that he had an implant. No, this is not a stone, a pebble, or a Tonka truck. There is nothing I can imagine that could explain why this man would have a witch's brew of elements within a sample embedded in his leg. Arsenic. Quite a lot of arsenic, actually, in the sample. Yttrium. Yttrium is the material used in making superconductors. We have a huge amount of yttrium inside this, and yttrium is extremely toxic. Machining superconductors, you have to wear masks and gloves because the powder is deadly. There are just really an astounding number of elements here that are quite poisonous.
Are these elements unique in any way, just the elements themselves?
Oh, absolutely. This is the most astounding array of elements in a single sample I've ever seen. I have no idea how you would make such a thing.
Even in your world of nanotechnology, where you do fabricate pretty exotic, minute scale machines and that kind of thing, this is still interesting to you?
This object has an elemental analysis of a complexity I've never seen before.
Wow. This thing is fabricated, is what you're saying.
Oh yes, this thing is fabricated. Our most complex alloys, maybe you will have 5 different metals or oxides present in an alloy. This sample has an astounding array of metals present.
We're talking about something that is highly advanced and fabricated by an intelligence, is that correct?
Yes.
Straight up?
Yes, straight up. This material had to be fabricated by somebody, by an intelligence that was very sophisticated. Somebody went to a great deal of effort to create this object.
You know, I was told that there are 4 types of isotopes that are found on Earth in zinc. Those are the 4 that they analyzed?
There's a 5th one in very small quantity, but they basically looked at the big 4.
Okay, so they're created here within our star system, the supernova that created our star systems and our neighboring star systems.
Yes.
And they have certain ratios that are typically found as far as the concentration of these different types of zinc. So zinc 64, zinc 66, this kind of thing.
Yes.
What ratios are you seeing there? Are they out of proportion with terrestrial ratios, and what does that tell us?
So in any sample you expect some deviation from the normal isotopic ratio of any of these elements, but what we're seeing here is a dramatic shift in the isotopic ratios of the sample versus the average isotopic ratio of zinc found on Earth. This zinc is from some other part of the galaxy, at a minimum. I'm telling you, it's not from here. This sample did not come from our solar system, much less the Earth. These isotopes provided us the evidence. These are not naturally occurring on Earth.
My mind is still kind of frozen with shock. I did not expect there to be proof. You're just nodding your head, but I'm freaked out.
We have material that has been pulled out of a man's leg that should not exist. This sample could not have been made on Earth because the isotopic ratios do not support the idea or the theory that this sample was made here.
I mean, so you got the smoking gun, but it's in the form of an isotopic analysis. How do you make someone understand the implication of those numbers? Or maybe you don't.
The $64 trillion question remains, how did these ratios get here? This is not a ratio of zinc that you would find that would be naturally occurring. There's no this has nothing to do with naturally occurring zinc in our solar system or in the surrounding solar systems. Within our neighborhood of the galaxy, this did not come from. These elements were created in a supernova that was manufacturing these elements in different ratios.
Do you think, from what you've seen, these isotopes show us non-terrestriality?
Yes, I do.
Would you consider this scientific report of the isotopes a smoking gun?
Yes, I would. I don't believe any human made this sample.
I'm just trying to figure out my next step. I mean, I guess we're at a point where we can say big questions.
Yes, huge questions. This is the most significant pieces of actual hardcore data we have ever seen in the field of UFO and extraterrestrial, that is, white world. This is the single most compelling piece of data that's ever been generated. So that's a mystery. But the implication of this is stretching my imagination.
This is just about the point where I feel utterly lost. I've been investigating Dr. Lear's claims for almost a year now. It's been one step forward, 2 steps back. So here are the facts. Patient 17 had a strange object taken out of his leg. It was analyzed and interpreted by Dr. Lear's team. They believe the object is proof of advanced non-human intelligence engaging humanity. Patient 17 and I are less convinced. I called the lab, and they stood behind their results. When I asked them if the isotopic results were consistent with non-terrestriality, they quickly admitted that errors can occur. I presented the data to the head meteorite specialist at UCLA, and he basically told me that we would need more tests to determine the object's origin. Innumerable scientists, from material specialists to nanotechnicians, have interpreted the data, and it's a coin toss. Some find the composition anomalous, others say it's what you might expect to find in a common alloy. Most simply say, we need more tests. With Dr. Lear gone, our only hope to further this case is to get our hands on the sample and continue the quest. This has proven to be a challenge.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hey man, it's me. I've been trying for months to get a hold of Steve. He's changed his phone number. He won't answer any of my messages. I just don't know if we're gonna be able to get the sample back or if we're gonna be able to figure out what this is. I'm extremely frustrated. I mean, I figure the only thing left is to go bang on his door. You know, we've come this far, man. We need to do more tests.
It seems that we each have front row seats for this cosmic symphony, an ultra-dimensional theater where we are observers and participants. We are actors on this multi-galactic and incomprehensibly mysterious stage, and the price of admission is simply your own curiosity. problem with peeking behind the curtain is that you can't unsee and you can't unknow. Your curiosity becomes weaponized, and from that moment forward, you become a mechanism, a beacon radiating with desire magnitudes greater than you ever dreamed possible.